And if you stay with us from now until the end of the show, you would know why I'm saying this. So for now, let's take a quick break, John.
Yes.
And
The winner is Africa. Are you ready for this?
Wake up, Motherland, to electrifying performances at the 2021 All-Africa Music Awards. Afrima, from November 19th to the 21st, 2021 at Eco Hotels, Lagos, Nigeria.
Featuring Africa Music Business Summit, a platform for business networking and interaction among music professionals.
Join Afrima Music Fest, an evening of non-stop music concerts with live broadcasts and performances from African music superstars. Date is Friday, November 19th from 6 p.m.
Sunday, November 21st comes with all the glitz and glam from Africa's music superstars, celebrities and international personalities at Afrima Awards Ceremony. Red carpets 4:30 p.m, awards 7:30 p.m.
All at the Eco Hotels and Suites, Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria. For tickets and seat reservation, visit www.afrima.org. Brought to you by GoBed247.com.
So you're welcome back, and thanks for staying with us, like we say. The program is Today with John and Helen, and you're tuned to Plus TV Africa, channel 408 on DSTV and 308 on Star Times.
And our attention is drawn to the pathetic story of Timothy Oludare Adeleke, who left his family for exams in Ado-Ekiti, lodged in a hotel, declared missing, and days later discovered dead and buried in a shallow grave not too far away from the hotel. Strange happenings, John.
Really strange happenings. These are things that I really don't want to talk about. It's gory.
Wow.
Really gory.
All around us.
And to think that we have security agents all over the place and these things still go. Oh, well. And lastly, the news from the Kano state that NECO has withheld results of more than 80,000 Kano students and over 500 million naira in debt.
I wonder who is owing who.
Who's owing NECO? And what becomes of the fate of these students?
Another question.
Yes.
Begging for answers. Well, tough times indeed for many, but the sun will definitely shine. Now, it's time to reveal our focus on today's show, John.
Yes, precisely on the 20th of October in 2020, the world watched live as the army went on a shooting spree at protesters, mainly young Nigerians who were chanting the national anthem and waving the nation's flag to reaffirm the peaceful and patriotic nature of the protest.
And that date remains historic.
Yeah.
Now, with the report of the Judicial Panel of Inquiry out in the open, establishing 48 victims, 11 confirmed dead, 4 said to be missing but presumed dead, and many injured, we decided to x-ray the NSAS tragedy with a view to getting closure and healing for victims, families, and the society at large, if possible.
If possible.
If possible.
Yes, well, to help us do that, as well as look at the way forward, is our guest, a woman of many parts. Our guest joined Serendipity House in 2007 as a result of her widowhood experience to uplift and help widows and their families through their grief and challenges.
Harris Phillips Educational Foundation, Youth Rescue Initiatives, Chef Lizzie Foundation, and others, where she ministers to people both home and abroad on the reality of death, reality of death, sorrow, and healing.
Yes. Well, join us to welcome Oluyomi Adejumo, alias Lady T of Quiet Pools, Ikeja. You're welcome, madam.
Thank you. Yeah.
John, good morning, Helen.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program today. All right, the release of the report by the Judicial Panel of Inquiry and the restitution for victims of SARS-related abuses in Lagos State, otherwise known as SARS,
NSAS.
as NSARS,
Yes.
has generated a lot of comments by observers. What do you think of it? We could just start that way. There has been a lot of emotions, from anger to sadness and grief. And how do victims' family process this, coming from where you have come?
Oh, this is a very, very important topic to deal with, especially in the light of what happens in our society in general, the Nigerian nation. And in this respect of the SARS report that just came out on the 15th of November, I would first say a big kudos to Justice Doris Okuwobi, I think, yes, who did go ahead to do the right thing. It's not all the time we find this sort of report coming out and then it's even dealt with at all. But they've done it and it's out. Yeah. So how do we process emotions like anger, sadness, grief, and sorrow in the light of moving on? Yeah. Forgiveness is the first thing I'm going to speak about. Because in this light, it's just not a normal grief. You know, we have, like when people die, they die most of the time by accident, which in this case is the position. But a lot of times, again, people die from illnesses, disease. And we know we had a lot of that in 2020 with COVID. But forgiveness would be the first thing we could think and preach about. When you lose people that go out just for a peaceful demonstration and they find out their families find out they are no more. And so from this perspective, I would say that it's not the natural way to die because it was unexpected, it was cold-blooded, and it was not even admitted when the EndSARS saga started.
Yes.
It was camouflage. That's the most painful thing to the bereaved and those who lost, precious soul. So I would, from that perspective, say that to move on, both the young, the old, and even and even those who have been on the panel witnessing all these things and these gory details, the only way we can go ahead, even if the government of the nation today is not saying sorry, is for us to forgive. And I'll take my text from, as a preacher, I always use my Bible. Even Jesus died unexpectedly. I'm a Christian. And he died for us to be saved. So if we say that we won't forgive these people who are perpetrators, you can't even begin to hold who are those who killed who. We all know from the stories that it was the army. Do we have the facts? Yes, some facts came up. But are we going to persecute the whole of the army or just pick those that were being able to be identified?
Okay, we will come to the aspect of forgiveness. But, to better understand, the flow of this entire saga, for me, it looks like it's a matter that will drag for a long time. Definitely. Yeah. And do you think all sides will ever be satisfied with the recommendations of the panel? Because that's what we're taking off from now.
All right. If you say all sides will ever be satisfied, I don't think that's a rational thing to say. Because if it was you in their position, would you ever be able to take a rational side? What I believe has to happen now, it's time to face the brutal facts. This panel has brought out the report. The government and all those who are involved with the EndSARS killings have to first make an apology. You can't move forward when you know that something happened and it's been buried. The first thing I think is apologies. Truth and righteousness, is a path I always want people to take in solutions to such issues like this. The objective of EndSARS was a very heroic one. And up till now, the government has not been able to stand up.
Talking about healing, we're looking at moving forward. And the youth of this nation are very central to the EndSARS saga, EndSARS tragedy, call it whatever it is. What really are their expectations at this point in time with the...
Help the youth the truth to know.
True.
They need to know the truth. It has been found out now. So how do we now encourage them to move on in a country where we have a constitution and that constitution has not been adhered to? Fail to use again the power they have in the military. And advocacy is the best thing to go for. The wounds are there, but the subject and the goal, the objective of NSAS has not been realized.
Yeah.
So just like every other nation, international countries like America, even India, we have those great men. We have Gandhi, we have Martin Luther King. They were able to go forward with issues like this with peace, but at the same time, they didn't stop their advocacy. To have what? Fair hearing, and to also make sure that the things that are to be done, like compensation, like memorial, I wouldn't want to go into all that because I know the question now is how do the youths move on? It's to gather themselves, be the strength they need for one another, and become strategic in their thinking, in their implementing, because they are the ones who can change Nigeria when it comes to these issues. We have where the right is wronged, the victim is pushed aside, and nothing just happens. We just hear stories.
Yeah. But you see, for some of us, this is almost like a deja vu, that the government will do what we want.
That question is a headache I've had for a long time. But I will answer it briefly. How do you trust people in government that are not true to even the constitution they swore to when they came to power? Trust is simply assurance to all of us, not just the youth, and see that Nigeria has a problem of social orientation. We need to have a mind shift. Our mindset when it comes to governance and the things that are being done for this nation are totally wrong. And it's not just in this aspect. It is in all the spheres of influence, from education to societal influence like this, that this NSAS, the youths were trying to do with NSAS.
Yeah.
It's not just the NSAS thing we need to look at. It's from, I would say that, who is the Nigerian? Who is the governed? Who is the governed?
Governed, yes.
Who is it that we should think and report things to? Is it not the government? True. And if it is the government, how are we going to make the government begin to see that because they're in power, doesn't mean that they should mete out injustice and inequality? Nigeria right now, we know we don't need to go into all the other things happening. We are from Boko Haram to the headsmen. We've had mayhem. We've had so many of these issues just going round and round. The only thing we can do is to face the facts and become responsible. And I'm now talking to every politician in power, from the commissioner to the House of Rep to Senate, all the executive arms of government, the legislature, the judiciary. They need to begin to take a real stand that says, if Nigeria wants to move forward, then we need to look at what we do, because they are the role models. They are the ones who have written the Constitution, and they should abide with what it says.
Okay. All right. Well, in cases like this, mostly the personalities involved are usually, we identify them, and then the case goes
cold.
Cold.
Correct.
Of us, are there some big heads likely to rule in this matter?
Helen,
yes,
you are asking that question, and you do know, I believe, the answer. That there are definitely big heads, but do they roll is the question.
Yeah.
You know, I talk a lot on the elites and how we are the mess of this nation. What do I mean? Have you ever seen elites get in trouble? Because there's never any punitive measures that brings them out right in the open. When you hear they do something, it's always nipped and it is always buried. But with this NSAS case, it shows you that there are some very young people who know what it should be. It is just, I would really be hoping that they have not stopped meeting, stopped thinking, and there must be an advocacy movement. If people have died with this good movement, then I expect that for the healing to really, come to the forth, come to birth, because healing also has a lot to do with when you see that the situation of what happens is there's a solution to it, a solution like maybe even bringing them to the round table, sitting down to them, not looking at them as just young people. What can they do? They are powerless. When you put up with this a round table for this youth, let them come and say exactly what we already know what happened, so it's no use going through stories. What do they intend to do to bring them up so that such things don't happen again? And then the objectives of why the NSAS started should be looked at.
Okay.
And the due process should begin. Until the young and the old, because the old is what we have in governance in Nigeria, really. Until they sit down at this round table and begin to strategize on how police brutality and all those other things they spoke about and they were fighting for are addressed, then how do we have anything like big heads rolling?
Okay.
They need to roll. But we will not have any heads rolling except there's dialogue, there's discourse on the round table. I always say this with elites, the big head, it's still the biggest sin that we take when we don't take responsibility and we are not ready to take the risk of rebuilding a nation that seems to be tearing apart.
Okay, Lady T, we're looking at a discourse, we're looking at a round table between the young and the old. At this time in the studio, we're looking at taking a break. We'll take a short break now and we'll be back with you before you know it. Don't go.
Okay, if you just tuned in, it's Plus TV is the station. The program is Today with John and Helen. And today we're looking at the aftermath of the protests at the Lekki toll gate, NSAS, against the background of the current findings, the report that has come forth. And our guest is still here. We've been talking about how do we heal, how do we begin to trust one another again, how do we get the younger ones to feel a part of building and rebuilding this society. Thank you once again for being there, madam. Yeah? All right, my first question on this segment is the process of grieving is very critical for many families. Now, It may be hard, especially with the release of this report. For 1 year, there's been a lot of uncertainty, especially for those who had their younger ones' life cut short by these incidents. How do they begin to heal practically? Because you have walked this road. We need you to give us some kind of template, if there's anything at all, for the families who have been grieving. How do they begin to heal?
Helen, dear, now, because I just said we have different theories on healing. The main thing, the first thing is acceptance. Do you know that sometimes the people who are hurting right now have not even accepted because maybe they haven't had a closure? A closure, for instance, what happens to those 4 people that are missing right now? That maybe their bodies have not even been found. Their families have not been able to give them a burial and close up, have that closure that they are actually deceased and dead.
Yeah.
So acceptance is very important because those families also may still be thinking, going into, thinking, oh, why did he go out? Why did she go out? And that sort of thing. So once you accept that that person is dead, the next stage is to begin to get yourself into what I call counsel. Counseling can come in the Nigerian way. We're so good at it. We have family members and friends that are always rallying around us. We also have a very vibrant spirituality around us in Africa, Nigeria especially, where you can also have the help of your, let's call it your pastor or your imam, to help you to get through it, through the strength, that is the word, the strength of God, our Creator.
Yeah.
That was the mainstay part for me, because when you know God and you know His word and what He says about death and what death means, then you are ready to accept and move on, knowing that He has promised you to heal you. In the Bible, for instance, it says, no, grief, sorrow comes only in the night time, or joy comes in the morning.
Yes.
If you really want to trust God and move on, it's good to trust that Creator you have that speaks to you and says life goes on. Death is just the transition. So it begins to walk, you begin to work on your thinking, your mind, your emotions now get fed from what you think, because the mind controls our emotions. And once you can do that and you pitch onto it, then you find out that it's easier to move into things that you would most likely start to remember the person in a positive way, not the deep loss, but the things that person stood for. You begin to bring up the good memories you shared with the person. These things begin to ease your pain. You see them as if they're still alive because of the good things they've done. You begin to feel them. Sometimes, of course, in therapy, you find out that even you're still talking to them. Yeah. You're still looking at their photos. All these things are very good for very, very good for your emotional balance, psychological balance. When you can't, because somebody dies, doesn't mean the memory of the person should vanish. It never vanishes. Okay. In fact, you treasure it, and you go in and out, making sure that you feel good about that person as if the person is still with you. Another area of making sure you can pass through your grief is making sure that you don't get into depression. Depression is different to sorrow. Sorrow, there's nothing wrong. When you lose a person or lose someone, of course, you'll be sorrowful. But depression is when you start to linger on without even thinking there's no way out. That you go into this abyss that, you just feel, well, I might as well just die. I've lost my child.
Yeah.
I've lost the son. So why don't I, Yoruba will say, kilo kuku fun mi, kemi na kuku ma lo. So you start willing yourself to die, and you go into a depressed state where even it begins to affect your health, it begins to affect everything you're made up of, the way you don't want to be with people, you shy away from things. So as I said, number 2, it's very important you're surrounded with people who love you. Love what conquers all things. Who love you, who are ready to talk to you, who are able to be with you and help you through it.
And
We could go on and on
Yeah.
this, but I don't know whether the time permits us.
That should help.
and the healing process too, I think, has been helped with the release of this report.
Yes.
So
In this particular case, I think
Yes.
they would feel they didn't die for nothing.
they didn't die for
But
nothing.
you see, it's not just the report that will do that. I think, we should think about many more things like compensation. If you're somebody who had a young child of a 1-year, 2-year-old child,
Yeah.
what happens? If it was a child that was the breadwinner for the family, what happens to the family? We also have to take those practical actions. Because love for me is action. It's not just speaking love. It's not just a report. It's the government now sitting down and making sure that these people are also catered for and nurtured.
Well, so now that we seem to have reached some kind of logical conclusion, in quotes,
Have we?
to what happened at the Lekki toll gate.
Are you sure we have,
Have
John?
we?
Well, at least we are moving.
We have to report. That's all we have.
We are hoping that we are moving towards in that direction.
I prayed
now
and prayed, not just
yes.
hoping it.
Yeah, the location itself, could it ever be restored to serve the role that it was built for?
They already started. John, I think I was in Lekki about 2 weeks ago, and I saw that the construction of the toll gates are already on. So in saying that, will it be done, or will it, I think it's going to be reconstructed and it's going to be used. The question we need to ask ourselves now is, even with that construction, why isn't it that before they started the reconstruction of the toll gate, why didn't they think of a memorial? A memorial, what I mean by a memorial is something physical. That, every time people pass the toll gate, they look at it and they feel
Yes.
a moment of silence, something that eases the pain in those who have lost those people. Because if I think that would have been a wise step. I don't know who's advised the organization or whoever the toll gate operators are. But the first thing I think would for them to have built a wall. I mean, I remember World Trade Center, and I mean, the best thing that they ever did in that place was to erect memorials that people could actually come to. Because you remember, we still have missing some people. Some people died. We don't even know whether their bodies were given back to their families. There's still so many questions around where the bodies released. So if there was a memorial there, maybe they could build something. As you said, is it going to be normal? It's not going to be normal until they do something to memorize, immortality is immortality. They're not immortal. Let's say we can't bring them back, but we can immortalize them.
Okay, they couldn't. I think they couldn't have done that at the stage they started rebuilding the toll gate, because the story was still unfolding.
It still is.
It's still unfolding, and government and the young ones and thinking about, if not the federal state government.
Federal government.
All right, we're being told that time is almost gone, but very quickly, there are personalities who have been identified as ambassadors of this protest. What is your counsel for them? Should they still go on with their lives now as normal? We know that a lot of young ones who spearheaded this.
I would say, do a survey of whether it's safe for them to start talking again. Before they talk, I think an advocacy, a body that can help them, that can hold them, holding hands together, support group. I think that's going to be very important. You have people, a heroic young lawyer who's done a lot. I'm so proud of her. I think her name is Mo Odele, she's young, she's a lawyer, she's been fighting for this justice and all. And you have all those branded people that are in their own rights also very popular. If they can all come together and join hands together and make sure that the terrain is safe before they start to write, more things, because now the facts are there, so they can actually put their pen to paper right now. But a support group is very important.
Okay.
And then obviously they need to make sure that they are safe in terms of where they go to, and they shouldn't go all out and start to without taking recognizance of the country where everything is by brute force. They shouldn't just go out again and say they want to just go and it shouldn't be an attack thing. It should be something that they should do peacefully, but they shouldn't relent.
Wow.
They should be courageous and not relent in their attempts to prove that they were innocent and they have a right to
Thank you
speak.
so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lady T of Quiet Pools Ikeja. And we're talking about Oluyomi Adejumo. Thank you so much for your insight on this issue. It's a trending issue, it's an ongoing matter, and we continue to, talk about it until we get to that conclusive end, so that everybody will find some healing, will find some forgiveness, will get more confidence in the government, especially for the young ones. Thank you once again for making time to be on the program with us today.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you. John?
Yes.
Moving on.
Moving on. And moving on the program, of course, let's remind you, this is Today with John and Helen on DSTV 408 and Star Times 308. They say that the only culture that is permissible in democracy is one that respects the freedom and rights of the citizenry. And on that note, we'll jet out to the gym and catch up with the instructor. Let's heal the body to heal the mind. After that, Ferron Owutomo and Ademola Ogunbanjo, a political economist, will be discussing End SARS, the way forward. Don't go away.
Hello everyone and welcome to the fitness section of today's show. I'm Dolly Phillips as always, and we're here at Alpha Fitness Studios in Lekki Phase 1 in Lagos. So today we are going to be focusing on those legs. Woo! Get ready. Obviously, as always, we're going to start with a quick warm-up. So let's get into that warm-up. Deep breath in and out and in and out. Give me those shoulders rolls backwards. Yes, give me 4. Oh, nice. Very nice. Forward, 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 forward. One more. Circle those arms back. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Hand circle forward. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to use those hips. So let's open up those hips. Very good. Now close it up. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's reach out to the side. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Circle down. Back to the center and other side. Let's go. Reach. 1, 2, 3, 4. All the way down and round and back to the center. Are we ready? Okay. What's our very first workout? We're going to sit down into that squat there, and we're going to step out to the side. That's our first workout. And 3, 2, 1, and time. Next one, we're going to do a narrow squat and kick forward. Are you ready? In 3, 2, 1. Come on, let's go. Down and kick. Very good. Down and kick. Nice one. Down and kick. Remember, knees behind the toes. Protect those knees. We need them for a long time. And back. Good. Down and kick. Awesome. Last kick. Oh, very nice. What are we doing? Here, here, out. Opening those hips. Open, close, kick. Let's go. Open, close, kick. Good. Open, close. For those hips, come on. Open, close, kick. Keep it. Open, close, kick. You need your balance for this one. Good. Open, close. Last one. Awesome. All right, we're moving to the next one. We're doing our jump squats. You know, let's go. Squat, jump, squat. Squat, jump, squat. If you can't jump, just come up. Squat, up, squat. That's it. But if you can jump, at that jump, come on. Land light. 5 more seconds. On the ball of your feet. 3, 2, last one. Yes! Nice work. Come on. You know we're going to do that one again. Ay, ay, ay. Those legs are burning. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Squat, up, squat. Squat, up, squat. Good. If you want to make it harder, click those heels. Yeah, why not? If you can't, stay here for me. 5 more seconds. Let's go. 3, 2, and 1. Awesome. Spider-Man walk. That is a killer on the legs. So set this one here. We're going to tap the ankles. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come on. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more. You've got this. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and time. Ooh, yeah. What you do on the left, you must do on the right. Are you ready? Come on. Let's go. 1, 2. Tap those ankles. 3, 4, 5. Squeeze those out. 5. Good. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more. 10, 9. Feel the burn here. 7. Come on. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Awesome. Just show those muscles some love. Sorry, hamstrings. Sorry, quads. Sorry, glutes. Well done, everyone. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, John and Helen. On the 20th of October 2020, the NSAS peaceful protest ended with the Lekki massacre. We've been talking about NSAS this morning. Everybody has been talking about NSAS. It seems completely talked out. However, it isn't, because we lost loved ones. We lost a part of our soul. The heart of Nigerians, both young and old, was broken. A year on, the panel confirmed that the Lekki massacre did happen. For me, it's not about laying blame. It's not about trying to rationalize. It's not about any of those things. It's about the way forward. Because as hard as this is to hear, what has happened. We now need to figure out how to continue to push through. We need to figure out how to move past the pain, the anger, the brokenness. And like our guest earlier had talked about, we need to find a way to be able to forgive, learn, and push forward. And with me this morning to talk about the way forward is Demola Ogunbanjo. Demola is a political economist. He's also a consultant to many sectors and industries. He was the 2019 gubernatorial candidate for Ogun State. He's also a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants and a member of the Institute of Directors. Welcome, Demola.
Thank you.
It really is a pleasure and an honor to have you here with me. I'm doing cartwheels in my head. So yes, yes, we have been talking about NSAS. It seems like we keep talking about NSAS because it's a really strong defining moment in our history. But like I said, for me, it's about the way forward. So I would like you to please, in a few short words, explain to me what you believe went wrong.
Thanks again, Farah. NSAS, as a conversation, deserves all the airtime it can get.
Yes, it does.
All right, so we can't talk about it enough. Like you rightly said, we lost loved ones. But the conundrum of NSAS, the saga, to me, we had young people and old alike coming together to protest police brutality and ask for an end to it. And when the government engaged, their interest was also not limited to the people, but also extended to the police themselves. They asked for better pay for the police. They asked for better gear for the police. They asked for better working conditions for the police. And in the process of protesting police brutality, we experienced military massacre. That is an interesting paradox. But then again, so the initial request, very organic, end police brutality.
Yes.
And something interesting happened that even I didn't see coming. The federal government, the state governments, they allowed it. I didn't see that coming. They allowed the gathering, they engaged the youth. Yes, they said they didn't have leaders, but I remember there was a meeting that Davido led, met with the IGP, and I'm not sure if Minister for Communications, they allowed it. They engaged it.
So rather than allowed, they engaged.
They allowed the protest. I've been protesting since I was 16. From the day it would start, they would send soldiers to disperse us.
I see.
I was a student at the Obafemi Awolowo University, and besides the courses you would go to study in Ife, protest was a standard course for everyone.
Curriculum.
Yeah. So I understand this, very well. However, here's the point. As the people saw that the government was open to engagement, the request started to change. And the murmurs became, Buhari must go. We can't deny that began to bubble up.
True.
The moment that started, it was clear to me that the end had come. But I thought it was going to be the end of the protest, not the end of the protesters. And that's where, again, the government got it wrong. There are many ways to disperse a protest.
Okay, so I'm going to interrupt you there because whilst I agree with you, I don't want us to blame anybody. Yes, the government got it wrong, but we don't know. There are a myriad of things that were playing out at that time. But what I would like to ask is, do you think the eventual outcome could have been avoided?
So, absolutely. However, I wasn't blaming the government.
Okay.
I was stating the obvious.
Okay.
They got it wrong.
How so?
They could have dispersed, to your question, the people in a different way. Water cannons, tear gas.
Okay, fair enough.
Mass arrests. a bigger police presence, military presence. Just make it difficult for people to gather in that number all over again. Dismantle their podiums. Clean out the place. You know, there are different ways to do it.
You're saying, what you're describing sounds like the recipe for riots, though, which could have ended up in the same outcome.
The protest at the Lekki toll gate was a peaceful protest.
Yes, it was.
It could not have become a riot. Even when the military showed up in their force, the people sat on the floor.
Yes, they did. It was very peaceful.
Held the flag of Nigeria, sang the national anthem,
Yes.
and it was almost as if that was the recipe for the fire to be opened on them. There was a riot as well for the NSAS protest. That was not at Lekki Tollgate.
True.
That was
Very
across the state.
Very
A
true.
different group of people, young people. If there was anything that the NSAS protest showed us, it's the dichotomy between the youths themselves. Now, whether it was orchestrated to discredit the movement as a whole, or it was just plain the poor part of the youth population and uneducated, angry at the system, decided to go with violence as against the organized, educated, not so poor group making their demands peacefully. That we do not know. But the bottom line is that we already had a riot.
Okay. So that is very, very, very true. There was a peaceful protest, and there were also riots in different, and not just in Lagos, in other states as well. So that being said, what do you think the way forward is? What are the lessons that we've learned from this, and how do we use those lessons to actually build a better Nigeria?
So we can't move past this until we own everything about what happened. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
The Bible says you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free.
Yes.
In the context of this conversation, however, there's a bridge between the truth and freedom, and that's reconciliation. And it starts with every party owning their responsibility.
What is their responsibility that you think they need to own?
Number one, the government need to come out. The report is out.
Yes.
It was not set up by the UN. It was set up by the Lagos State government. All right? And that report is out. We all see it. Now we know the truth. CNN told us about a year ago, our government disagreed. Okay, here it is. So we own up to what happened. And then we begin to engage the bereaved.
What if they say that they've given them money? I'm being devil's advocate here. Because you know our government.
Money.
Okay.
For lives lost.
Exactly.
There is no compensation for a life. There's only an apology.
And even that isn't enough, but it's a start.
At least it's a start. And when I say an apology, it's words, it's the money as a palliative, not as a payment, not as a compensation, just as a palliative. It's releasing the bodies of those that are still missing.
Yeah, it's restitution.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then having that open conversation. When that is done and people begin to heal, then they go back into the system and fish out those responsible for that carnage and give them the right punishment within the remits of the law.
So you've talked about the government's owning their responsibility. Okay, are there other parties that need to own their
When things like this happen in civilized environments, and trust me, when I say civilized environments, it's not just a manner of speaking. We are not a civilized people.
No, we are not.
I have seen it. I'm one of us. We're not as civilized as we like to give ourselves credit for. In a civilized environment, things like this happen. This panel report comes out. At some point, the governor will resign.
Very true.
But Let's cap that. Let's move to the people. We have asked for change. We haven't seen it.
No, we have not.
Promises have been made. They haven't been fulfilled. Lives have been lost. They can't be raised from the dead. Unfortunately, Jesus is gone. And those of us he left the power with, we don't know how to wield it. So we can't raise the dead. Peter did with his shadow. Right? We don't know how. That said, that change we still must make happen.
Yes.
We must do one or all of the following. Get your PVC. Be ready to vote in 2023. It's the least you can do. 2, join a political party. It can be APC, it can be PDP, it can be any other one. Join a political party. One of the things that we complain about is the quality of the people that are fielded by the parties. Go into the party and be part of those who choose those people so that the quality can change before the populace meets the people at the general elections. 3, join the executive structure of that party at whatever level, local, state, or national, even ward level. Because that's how you can then become a delegate and vote at the primaries. 4, if you are that inclined, run for office yourself. Change is a collective responsibility. And we have seen that this generation of old leaders, they're only fulfilling the scriptures. That their old shall dream dreams and their young shall see visions. We're the ones with the visions. These ones are dreaming, and you can't dream unless you're asleep. They are asleep at the helms of affairs. They're getting most of it wrong. We can't expect better from them. The world has changed beyond their grasping. The world has changed beyond my grasping.
Very true.
I don't understand a lot of things going on, and I'm a young man.
So you say?
That's what it is.
Okay, so I'm going to take you back to family.
Yes.
Because I want to connect the dots. Yeah? Every nuclear family sets their own agenda. They set their value system. I personally believe that a lot of the things that happened because we have lost our values. So if you were going to advise you and I as to how to actually begin to retrace our steps from a value proposition standpoint, what would you say?
You know, this morning I downloaded ABBA and Bonnie M because I was playing their songs in my head and I just missed them. And I thought to myself, there was a time when music was about the beats, the rhythm, the sound, love, pain, aspirations, dance. And there is this time when music is about sex and money. It was a gradual degeneration. Everything went with it. When you stop teaching history and people can't learn from their past, it means you're disconnecting a generation from their values. Our history is our identity. Our identity is the bedrock of our value system. When you stop teaching history in schools and parents are busy hustling for money, back in the day, most of what I learned that was based on morals. Yes, I observed my mother and my family members, but most of it came from school. My teachers were demigods.
Very true.
We didn't dare look at them. And now you hear all over the place, students are beating teachers, parents are going to schools to go and threaten teachers, that, all of these things. We are losing our history, our identity. What you see as the decay is only the symptoms. It comes from education, exposure. You find people named Olamide, my affluence has come. And they spell their name as O-L-A-M-I-D-E. R-L-A-R-M-E-E-D-A-Y. It started from
So
when we
true.
started calling our country Niger. And nobody curtailed that. And you're wondering why. The name of this country is Nigeria. It comes from two words, Niger area. The area of the Niger. What's the Niger? A river. What's a river? The Bible speaks about a tree that is planted by the riverside. It shall bear its fruits in and out of season. That's who we are, a people planted by the riverside. We do not even understand the creed of our own country's name. We sing only the first stanza of the national anthem. We don't sing the prayer, the second stanza. We're losing ourselves. And when you lose yourself, you lose your values.
And when you lose your values, you end up with people in government who don't have values.
Here are the symptoms. The problem is not the politicians. The politicians are from amongst us. The problem is us. When I become a politician, I don't get reborn. It's still just me, and I go into political office with the values that I brought from society. Full stop.
Yeah. That is where I want us to go. You see why I said I wanted to talk about NSAS differently? Because this comes back to you and I.
Absolutely.
We are the ones raising the next generation and the next generation. So how are we going to stop history from repeating itself? We have to change the narrative.
Yes.
So to round up, can you give me in 3 sentences what you would recommend we do in our daily lives to begin to change the narrative?
Well, first off, you live by example. Practice what you preach. Young people learn more from observation than what they're being told. Second of all, teach your children history. If the schools won't teach them, you teach them. Third, introduce them to God. But because you have introduced them to God, don't forget to introduce them to Obatala or Romeo.
How so? You will confuse some people.
It's part of their history. It's a part of their culture. The Yoruba pantheon, if you study it, you'll find it doesn't negate spirituality. As a matter of fact, it's traditional spirituality. And it speaks to Eledumare. That is Olodu Tomoare. That is the one with the code of creation. And it speaks to Oluwa and it speaks to Olofi. Olofi is the intermediary.
I
the
wish I
medium
could translate this
between the earth
for
and the
non-Yoruba people. Because this is deep.
Well, it's scriptures.
Okay,
Scriptures
so
are away, as brought to us by Oromila.
Okay, so let me quickly recap. First, you said
Lead by example, practice what
lead
you
by
preach.
example, practice what you preach.
Yes.
2,
Teach your children what the school system will not teach them.
teach our history. Wherever you are in the world,
Yeah.
teach our history.
Yeah.
3,
Introduce them to the capital G God, the creator of all things, the Almighty. And don't forget to teach them as well about the small G gods.
Demola, it has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
It has been an absolute honor. I'm so delighted to have you.
Thank you, Pharaoh. It's my pleasure for being here.
Thank you so much for being here today. It's been very short, but very enlightening. And I really hope that as a people, as a nation, we begin to understand who we are and what we carry, because that is the only way to change the narrative. So, thank you so much for watching. Stay with us for a few more seconds whilst John, Helen, and myself very quickly round up the show. Thank you.
The winner is
Africa, are you ready for this?
Wake up, motherland, to electrifying performances at the 2021 All African Music Awards. Afrima from November 19th to the 21st, 2021 at Eco Hotels, Lagos, Nigeria.
Featuring Africa Music Business Summit, a platform for business networking and interaction among music professionals.
Join Afrima Music Fest, an evening of non-stop music concerts with live broadcasts and performances from African music superstars. Date is Friday, November 19th from 6 p.m.
Sunday, November 21st comes with all the glitz and glam from Africa's music superstars, celebrities and international personalities at Afrima Awards ceremony. Red carpets 4:30 p.m. Awards 7:30 p.m.
All at the Hotels and Suites, Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria. For tickets and seat reservation, visit www.afrima.org. Brought to you by GoBed247.com.
Navadina Hair.
Address home. Afrima. Still we sing. For hope, for celebration.
Well,
Okay, so we're back to wrap up like Pharaoh said.
Yes.
But not before John's Nuggets.
not before John's nugget. So my nugget today, and be reminded that the nugget is for those of us who find ourselves in public speaking engagements. All right? So, Pharaoh, are you with me?
Sir. I don't know why you always use me as your...
John Sorosoke.
Yes. Now, the nugget for today is this. The person you are comparing yourself to has probably come a long way and battled stage fright in the past as well. So most times we compare ourselves to successful or well-known public speakers, people who are the Obamas of this world. You say, I can never be with him, like him or like her. I can never be like Pharaoh and all of that. But don't forget that even Pharaoh, at some point in her building or growing up in professionally, would have sorted out her issues with stage fright. So,
which she still has.
Which, yes, we all have it, actually. It is mastering how to conceal it that matters.
Very
so
true.
everybody has stage fright. Don't compare yourself to John, Helen, or Pharaoh. We've all been through it. So that's my nugget.
There's always a starting point for everybody.
Oh yeah, but
Yes.
you have to take your time.
Yeah.
Learn
and you
it.
keep at it.
Keep at it. So that's it.
So,
All right, at some point, I said this show today was it for me, because of the incidents, because of the lessons. And your guest hit the nail on the head.
Yes.
He was profound.
Yes, he was. Demola is a profound person. So next week, we are going to be talking about sexuality versus, that's another day. Spirituality versus religion.
Okay.
But yeah, we will talk about sexuality on another topic, don't worry.
All right.
Spirituality versus religion.
Good. So that's it for this week.
Yeah, it is. As we remember those whose life were cut short by NSAS.
May their souls continue to rest
in peace, and may the families find some level of closure and healing. And we hope that all that we have said on the show today, will come handy as they grapple with the loss and grief and healing. That's all we have on the show today from me. Thank you so much for being such excellent audience. And join us later tonight on the show. It's at 10:30 and tomorrow morning at 9:30, DSTV and Star Times. And on the other platforms, that would come from you always.
You can rewind and watch again on PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. And you can follow us on our social media handles on Instagram. And keep informed of everything we do. Thank you from me.
All right.
See you next week.
Bye for now.
Hello and welcome. It's Nimasa This Week, the voice of Maritime.